What's up, Bandidos? Tux has your back, and I'm covering Season 8 daily to help you milk every bit out of what this game has to offer. Hey, a fan recently challenged me to create a all-status build that basically applies every status effect in the game at the same time. Challenge accepted, and today I'm giving you the build that doesn't just apply all status effects, but torments the NPCs to death. It's gonna be a ton of fun. Let's go.
Accepted, division. This is a war you can't win.
Sweet dreams are made of this.
Bandidos, what's going on? I hope you're all having a beautiful Friday afternoon or evening, depending on where you're chiming in from. And in the Pacific Northwest, where I am hailing from, it is nice and sunny, and I'm glad to be streaming with you today. So hopefully most of you just came from the premiere, so I just dropped a new build for you. We're gonna be covering that build in more detail, and I'm gonna be showing you some unedited gameplay. So in those videos, you see lots of highlights and lots of fun, and then when you catch it on the live stream, then I show you the full unedited gameplay, which is a lot more fun as well, because I will be showing you gameplay footage of with the Hollywood event on and the Hollywood event off. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, the Hollywood event is a global event that's part of Season 8, which used to be Season 2. We now call it Season 8. And so the Hollywood event is normally one that I skip. And this time I pledged that I would help you guys enjoy all the content that we have in Season 8, and the Hollywood event is part of that package deal that I'm delivering. And so honestly, like normally I skip this event because I was like, oh, so basically it takes like these NPCs that are already really like tanky, right, and hard to kill, and it makes them invulnerable, which makes, you know, farming more difficult, makes it more difficult to move through content, right? So, but I put together, I think this is like my third or fourth build that I put together for the Hollywood event, at least my third build, I think. And I'm having a lot of fun because of these builds. And again, normally I would have skipped this event, but these builds are helping make it more enjoyable. And so this status effect build was a challenge. So somebody from the last build video, which was the Ravenous build video, said, hey, can you, I challenge you to make an all-encompassing status effect build. So one, it doesn't necessarily have to be the most powerful status effect build, but one that delivers as many status effects as possible. And I found a way to deliver every single status effect in the game basically at the same time, which is pretty cool, right? So anyway, so what I want to show you is that this is the Hollywood event. And I'm sure you guys are playing this, but just in case, it basically puts this digital shield around the enemies, right, and makes them very, very tanky, or basically invulnerable. In order to break the shield, you have to hit them with a specialization weapon, an EMP, or an explosive. Those are basically the ways. Now, there's certain tricks you can use to bypass the shields, and that's what this build is doing. So, the status of many of the status effects bypasses the shield, but not only does it bypass the shield, it also, some of the status effects actually, or the tools that we're using, are actually breaking the shield as well, right? So, for example, the shock, which is on your 6th round from the Scorpio, actually breaks the shield, which is pretty cool. And so, so that's a little trick. Also, we're running ongoing directive. The hollow point ammo applies bleed. That bleed is damaging the enemy even while their shields are up. And then we're actually using on a regular basis the flamethrower. And so that actually breaks the shield. One of the status effects is using the sticky bomb, which also breaks the shield. Now I'm using the burn sticky just because it's more effective, but if you want to truly use all status effects, you want to use the EMP one, then you have literally every single status effect in the game being applied to the enemy. But, you know, it's just not that helpful, the EMP, unless you're playing the Tusk, right? So But it still works to break shields, but you want to break the shield and then further damage the enemy. And so that's why I'm using the burn sticky bomb, because it breaks the shield and then further damages the enemy. So that's why I chose that one. And then we got the riot foam, and then we got, we're also blinding the enemy with trauma and also bleeding them. And then we're shocking them and we're disorientating them, you know, with that poison, and also getting some amplified damage out of this build. And then I went with the Vile Mask because it's since we're putting out so much status effects, we might as well be damaging with those status effects as well. But anyways, the point is that even the Vile Mask is bypassing the Hollywood shield. So this is truly a Hollywood build. Okay, it truly is. And so, but I didn't want to just, you know, to tag it to the Hollywood global event, because this build is actually pretty cool to use outside of the Hollywood event. And so that's why I got gameplay footage of inside with the Hollywood event activated and the Hollywood event not activated. Anyways, a little housekeeping before we get too far ahead of ourselves. Let's just make sure that I'm coming in loud and clear. I assume I am. I do see those hashtag Tux Live, so thanks for that. Mic check, appreciate that. And then Colin, thank you for being first today. welcome. Sick Jim, second, either first or second. All right, I like that. And so good guesses. Let's see what your guess was. Colin, were you guessing that did you guess right that I had the ongoing directive? Because I was assuming that I think a lot of people would make the assumption that for a max status effect build like this, that you would roll with Eclipse Protocol. And you can, right? But Eclipse Protocol doesn't apply a status effect. It just indirectly transmits those status effects, right? So where ongoing directive actually applies the bleed. Now I didn't have to use ongoing directive because trauma also applies bleed, so I still could have used Eclipse Protocol, but there's a lot of redundancy in the builds, right? So there's lots of different ways you can go. But hey, if you're just now joining and you like what I want to do and you want to support me, it's really easy. All you have to do is hit the little the little thumbsy thumbs. Give me some thumbsy thumbs. Give me some thumbs and subscribe if you haven't done that. That's how you support the Tux. Also, I just released the build I used to clear the bank, but the speed run the bank. So if you guys haven't done that, or you still need to get a good time, then check out the build. The link is in the description area below. Also, the link to this actual build. So I just did a build video. If you missed that build video, then there's a link to the actual build video for what we're going to be covering today. So I invite you to check that out as well. And at least if not, then at least head over there and give me a like and a comment just to support me. I'd appreciate that. It's that easy, guys. But also, members Texas Players Club, remember that there's a classified build waiting for you, and it's the Unlimited Unbreakable Talent build without cooldowns. It doesn't actually use Unbreakable Talent, but it's basically like that, having an Unlimited Unbreakable Talent, which is pretty cool. So that link is in the description area, and I'm also working on the next classified build, so that's why I'm pushing you to use this one, to get out there and use this one and make this one, so that so you check it off your list and get ready for the next one. Also, hardcore members, you have a digital download and gamer music playlist that is waiting for you. If you haven't already checked that out, you can find that just by going over to my YouTube homepage, and right at the top there's a members only channel playlist, and all of the content there is for any of the members is waiting for you there. And what you can access just depends on your level, but of course there's the gamer music playlist for the hardcore banditos, and I have a new one coming, so I just want to make sure you guys are getting access to those as they drop. So, and also, if you guys don't know what I'm talking about with those classified builds, these are secret builds that I make just for Texas Players Club, and these are actually extra builds that I create. And I do that as a thank you for supporting me. So obviously I create builds that aren't classified, that aren't secret builds, but I go above and beyond and try to create these extra builds for you guys because of all the ways that you guys support me and the entire community. And so that's my way of saying thank you to you guys. So anyways, if you want to tap into these secret builds, it's pretty easy. All you got to do is hit the join button, and or the join link that's dropping in the chat, and select your level. In order to get access to the builds, you need to actually be at least a true Bandido member level or a hardcore Bandido member level. Cool? Okay, so that's the housekeeping. So let's just take a quick run through of the build, okay? Because I know some of you guys came from the actual build video. So I'm gonna go quickly, and then I'll be swinging back into the build throughout the gameplay, just, you know, taking breaks. So for those that join us later. But, so yeah. Okay, so it's actually built around, well, it's not really built around any one thing, but the one weapon that makes the most sense to use is going to be the Scorpio, because it's the only weapon in the game that actually applies a status effect. And so, you know, the first round basically primes the target with poison, and then your third and sixth round applies an actual status effect, which is disorient and shock. So those are actual status effects. So when you get the third and the sixth round, you're gonna be activating the Vile Mask. That's on the build. Okay, and then the seventh round, the target takes additional 20% damage, which is really helpful from all sources. So that's including the Vile Mask and the status effects themselves, like bleed, because bleed actually applies damage. Cool. So now I did mention in the build video, you could also go with the pestilence and apply a plague of an outcast like a status effect, but the truth is that the plague of the outcast is not an actual status effect, so it wouldn't activate the Vile Mask. And so, but it's definitely useful anyways. Just realize it's a debuff, not an actual status effect. And the other reason why I recommend the Scorpio is this is sort of a fast-paced build. You're kind of getting into the heat of things, getting into the kill zone, and the pestilence would probably get you killed if you played that closely. So just because it's not a very fast weapon, so it's not really, you know, not really recommended for this setup. But depending on your playstyle, this setup would work for that kind of gameplay if you adjust, you know, accordingly. Okay, but for example, I'm using the flamethrower, and that's not a distance weapon, right? And so sort of either is the riot foam really, you know, I mean, you can use it at distance. It's just kind of pointless to use it at distance. You kind of want to use it in close range, basically to hold them still while you beat them down. But anyways, so I'm using the firewall. Okay, you want to use the firewall because basically you want access to the flamethrower, because that's going to be your main source of fire. So, and it's also the strongest fire in the game, so that's why you really want it. It's the strongest fire in the game. So let's not overlook that, right? So you have other ways of applying fire, like the chem, but we want to use the chem for other things, and we're going to get to that. But the other thing that's cool about firewall is that when your armor breaks, you're going to catch the nearest enemies on fire, or at least one of them on fire. So that's also a status effect you're applying inadvertently, right? And then on top of that, it's going to make your fire status effects last longer as one of the perks in the skill tree there. So those are all the reasons why we're using firewall. And so you might be tempted, because we're running the Vile Mask, you might be tempted to run Demolitionist to boost your Vile Mask, and by all means you can adjust the build that way. It's just that this isn't a Vile Mask. Even though we got basically a maxed out Vile Mask, the purpose of this build is to have as many status effects as possible, all of them really. And so you really want to use your whole arsenal to do that. And so you want to be rotating through your weapons, and it also makes it a lot more fun and very dynamic. Anyways, okay, so we're running 4 pieces of ongoing directive, and so that's giving the status effects and reload speed, of course, but rules of engagement, which is basically giving you hollow point ammo, which is going to give you 20% amplified damage as well as bleed. And because we're running the backpack, we get the trauma specialist, which is increasing the duration of your bleed status effect by 50% and all bleed damage done by 100%. So that's really, really helpful, because in combination with the Vile Mask, so that's gonna last longer, so your Vile Mask is gonna last longer, which means your Vile Mask is gonna be putting out more damage as well as the bleed itself. And so you will notice those double ticks. You will notice enemies dying from bleed, which is really cool. And so anyway, so this is actually not a skill build. This is a weapon build, a primary weapon build. It's a weapon build, right? So so you want to run weapon damage with status effects, and then, you know, skill haste is what I chose because of the skills, but you want max weapon damage on your build. So the gloves look the same with status effects and weapon damage. So do the knees, and then so does the holster. They all look the same. Now here's the chest piece. Now I ran trauma because now we get access to blind without having to run the blind or firefly. So this is pretty cool. And so throw this just shooting them in the head. It's got a 30-second cooldown, which can feel long if you're really relying on it, but we're not. We're putting out so many status effects just one of them. So we're not really relying on, that's the cool thing about this build. You're not really relying on any one thing. I mean, the only one thing that you're relying on is really your shotgun. That's the one thing you're relying on. And that's because we're getting the hollow point ammo, which is giving you amplified damage. And so, you know, you need your to activate your weapon. So that's the one thing we're relying on. But everything else is basically, we're just kind of toggling through all of the status effects. So don't worry about any cooldowns or not having enough ammo. Canisters or anything like that. It's all gonna work out the way the build is balanced. Now, this is because it's Golan. I got armor here, but I'd rather not have armor. I mean, I'd rather have a skill tier than armor, but even better, I'd rather have weapon damage there instead of armor. But I didn't have that piece, so I just kind of rolled with what I got here. And then instead of armor regen, you'd probably be better off a skill haste there. Skill damage would also work, just because I'm rolling the sticky bomb, but I would rather have skill haste and a weapon damage core. So if you can get that, then cool. If you don't have a golem piece, then I guess my next piece would probably be Hannah Yu, but you could also go China Light. But Hannah Yu is gonna be more effective for both your skills, because Hannah Yu is gonna help your chems as well as your sticky bomb, where China Light is just gonna help your sticky bomb, but it'll also buff the Vile Mask. So just kind of weigh that out, go whatever direction you want. But Golan also buffs the Vile Mask, right? Because remember what the Vile Mask says. Actually, we'll go there next. So the mask is the Vile Mask, and that gives toxic delivery, which basically applies damage over time, which is 10 seconds. And that damage is equal to 50% of your concussion grenade, which is at 1.4 for us. So half of 1.4 million over 10 seconds. And then it's further increased by status effects, which is why we were also running Golan. So Golan is great. It's perfect because it helps our skills duration last longer. And at the same time, it's buffing the Vile Mask. Where China Light is helping us, one of our skills become more powerful, but also giving a little bit more of a boost to Vile. But Vile is just one of the elements. So this is not let's all focus on the Vile Mask. So you don't have to run the Vile Mask. You can also you got lots of options actually. You can run the Imperial Dynasty holster, which I tried that, but I just realized that I have too much, there's so many ways to get fire that it was just kind of a waste of a slot to do that. I'm still trying to find reasons to use this holster, by the way. So there's just always something better to go with, right? And so it was just smarter to use the flamethrower because it's just so powerful and it's on demand, where the holster isn't. It's got a cooldown. And then same with the sticky's also burning too. So I got double fire as it is. And so you could do that, but you could also go with Ridge Race Pride and apply bleed. But again, I got bleed from trauma, and I also get bleed from ongoing directive, so I didn't need another bleed, which is why I didn't go that route as well. Except that would help with the armor regen, so there's a reason to use Ridge Race Pride if you wanted to. Okay, but anyways, so we're putting on so many status effects all the time that you might as well be applying damage with that as well, which is why we want toxic delivery. So it's really, 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 really helping. And then I got Riot Foam here. And now you can see I only got 3 ammo, but that's just enough, guys. It's just right. It's just right. Trust me, you don't need more on that. So don't overspec into your build. Maybe one more skill tier here in the Golan piece, but I'd rather have weapon damage. But if you put a skill tier here, okay, better than armor. Now for the other one, for the sticky bomb, you actually have options here. Now again, like I said earlier, if you want to truly run all status effects, then go with the EMP, but you know, that's kind of unnecessary, so I just ran sticky with the fire. And then, but you know, you can do whatever. You could also go the airburster for fire. You can go with any of them, really. The explosive. You could do the blinder firefly if you want to. What else? You can do the jammer. You can also do the hive, the stinger. But I love the sticky. It's a lot of fun because you can tag enemies at distance with it. So Anyway, so that's the high level of the build. Now, it's not worth showing you the stats because there's nothing really there. Okay, there's no status effects. There's no, I'm sorry, there's no crit chance, no crit damage, and there's no, you know, armor regen or anything like that. So, so the setup is quite particular. I mean, you have a few options, you know, but the setup is quite particular because it comes down to, remember, the goal is to have all status effects all the time. So that's the goal of the build, to have every single status effect being applied in the game. So let's see who's joined us. Dr. Heinous, if I didn't say what's up. What up, Doc? Can't remember if I did. TK Senju, what's going on? Thank you for joining us. Oops, skis, you as well. Damien H says, sup, Tux? What's going on, brother? Common item, I just got everything. Oh, good job. Good job. Yeah, I hope you guys saw my the shopping list. So members, I gave you guys a shopping list yesterday, and I wish I got it out earlier, but it was kind of a last minute build. I was playing with it all day yesterday, just trying to figure out how I wanted to run it, and I was like, yeah, I nailed it. This is how I want to run it. It's a ton of fun. It definitely keeps your mind occupied as you're kind of trying to apply these status effects and rotating through all your weapons and your skills and everything. So it's a kind of a busy bee. It's a busy bee build, basically. So you're gonna be busy. This isn't one of those ones where you throw out your turret and kick back, right? You're gonna be using all your skills all the time. One thing you do want to notice is, like, I don't have any armor regen and I don't have any armor on kill. It's not one of those kind of builds. It's extremely powerful, but just like most CC builds, you're also pretty squishy. So the good news is, there's good news to that, is that because we're using Firewall, we got the best armor kit in the game, right? I mean, you're actually literally invulnerable for I can't remember how long, but it's the best armor kit in the game. So when you apply that armor kit, you can take all sorts of damage and still be healing through it and end up with 100% armor, which is pretty cool. I'm sure you guys already know that stuff, but anyways, again, here you're seeing it with the Hollywood event activated. And so realize that the enemies are tankier than usual, but the skills are bypassing that. So that Vile Mask is being applied, that Bleed is being applied. The Bleed, correct me if I'm wrong, but attacks the health of the enemy. And so it bypasses the shield because of that. And so, which is pretty cool. So lots of perks to running this right now because of the event. You're gonna get just that much more out of the build. Happy Friday, common item. Thank you for saying it. M Link, what's up, dog? Mr. Gods, there you are. What's up, Wick the Swede? Giant asks if I'm possibly working on any new PvP builds. Actually, you know what? While I was building this one, Giant, I gotta be honest with you. So look at that, me pulling in the torch. You see me pulling the torch there? So I'm gonna be using the torch a lot, guys. You literally, you know, especially in a Hollywood event, ammo is not an issue. You have basically unlimited ammo because of the Hollywood event, because they drop tons of ammo. But so Giant, what I was gonna say was that this build, when I was creating it, I was like, you know what, this would be a nightmare build for your opponents in PvP. Like, there's nothing I don't think there's anything you have to change for PvP. Again, the golden chest piece, I would probably add back. I'd probably put on maybe, yeah. I mean, gee, I'm just trying to think like what I would change for PvP. I don't think it would change anything for PvP. I mean, just the golden chest piece armor thing. I would take away the armor. You just don't need armor. It's just one of those builds you want to go all in on damage. If anything, put a skill tier there. But this build would be badass in PvP. So what I would recommend you do is first, you know, go and clear a landmark or two so you get that hollow point ammo, and then, you know, go have some fun, right? Because each one of those bullets is just gonna be a nightmare because you have so much status effects. You see me pull out that torch again, guys? So you want to use the torch. It's like should be part of your regular routine. Just whip it out. But yeah, so this would be a nightmare. This build would be a nightmare because you have so much status effects, but all the weapon damage and amplified bullets, right? You got amplified bullets at, what is it, 20%? Right? Is that right? Yeah, 20% amplified damage, but you're also running the backpack. And what is the backpack? So I just say, pretend you're fighting me right now, okay? And unfortunately, I haven't tested this in the PvP environment, so I need one of you guys to do that for me. But it increases the duration of your bleed status effects by 50% and all bleed damage done by 100%. That's an absolute nightmare for your opponent. Okay, so when you go into the DZ, they're gonna have, in addition, they're gonna have longer duration of that bleed and more damage from that bleed. On top of your 20% amplified damage coming from your bullet, on top of the 20% additional damage that the Scorpio is gonna be pumping out, on top of the shock, on top of everything else that the Scorpio does. So yeah, I think you should, let's see here. I'm just looking at the build and seeing what I could change, but I don't think I would change anything. But, you know, so you got that, and then you got the riot foam. Your enemies are gonna be bleeding, they're gonna be blind, they're gonna be taking bile ticks, they're gonna be shocked, they're gonna be disorientated. I mean, all of that in 7 rounds, right? They're gonna be on fire because if you're sticky. And then if you do pull out your torch, if you have time to pull out your torch, and you're gonna burn them again with the strongest burn in the game. But even if you don't, you just hit them with the sticky. Actually, you probably would run the EMP sticky in the PvP environment, because then you'll bust their shields. So you hit them with the probably with the EMP first. Probably hit them with the EMP first, or probably the riot foam. You riot foam them, EMP them to break their shield. Shoot them just once in the face. That's all you gotta do. Shoot them once in the face, and they're now blind and bleeding because you got the special ammo. So the blind, bleeding, EMP'd, on fire. I mean, so that's why I called the build the Tormentor, because you're basically tormenting everybody to death. I mean, it'd be painful to come across a build like this in PvP, but I don't know, give it a try. That's just all theory. So I need somebody to go in there and try it. So. Yeah, so yeah, good suggestion, Group of Unknowns. So yeah, if you guys want to roll a different direction, we've done those builds, you know, the opportunistic glass cannon. We do those all the time, though. I mean, but I like the suggestion. It's definitely solid. So what Group of Unknowns is recommending, definitely solid. But we have those builds. But I guess first, before you roll opportunistic and glass cannon, try the build this way first, because I think you're gonna really like the blind. Like, I like that blind. I mean, it allows you to kind of just stand in front of the boss and just kind of shoot him, you know. I already feel like I'm rolling with glass cannon, even though I'm not, you know what I mean? Because we're quite squishy. But I like glass cannon, so don't get me wrong, I love glass cannon. But well, part of it, I guess, is because of Hollywood. I think that's part of it, because Hollywood has these enemies are really tanky, right? They're basically Terminators, so yeah. But that's solid. But both of those are good options. The only thing is, like, if you run opportunistic and glass cannon, then that means you're gonna lose the bile mask, and you're running so many status effects. Not sure you would want to do that. I think so. Basically, I guess that if you run opportunistic and glass cannon, it's not even the same build anymore at all. It's just not. You're just running a Scorpio. What do you call it? Ongoing directive build. You lose because if you run opportunistic on the backpack and glass cannon on the chest, and that means your ongoing directive pieces goes to your mask, your gloves, your holster, and your knees, which means you lose trauma, which is your blind, and then you lose the longer bleed on your backpack, which is okay, but then you lose the bile mask as well, which I think is a big part, ends up being a big part of the build. Great suggestion, just a different build in the end. No, there's hollow point, bud. So every time you see my ammo is orange like it is now. So I think this is Sunday League Gaming. You don't need the chest piece. So look at right now. So I'm hitting him with the hollow points. You see how my ammo is orange? The orange box? That means I have the special ammo. So when you run the chest piece, it increases the hollow point damage from 20% to 35%. So 35% increases, which is big. So there's a benefit to running the chest, right? The chest piece is going to give you way more damage. It's going to give you 15% more amplified damage. There's so many benefits to running the chest. I mean, actually, I'd probably run the chest piece over the glass cannon. I mean, the chest piece is giving you a reason to not run glass cannon. Obviously, you get more amplified damage with glass cannon plus ongoing directive, but the ongoing directive chest piece is kind of gives you an excuse to not run glass cannon. But yeah, so you don't need the chest piece to get the hollow point ammo. You just need 4 pieces of ongoing directive, and if you do run the chest piece, then you're going to get even more amplified damage out of that same hollow point ammo, which is pretty cool. But I know some of these gear sets are confusing, so it doesn't surprise me that people get that confused. But let me just show you guys the chest piece. So here's the chest piece. So as you can see, it reads the same as all the other pieces, right? So the only difference is the talent there. If you look closely, it says that it increases. So the only thing the chest piece does by wearing it is it increases the hollow point ammo weapon damage application to 35%. Where, as you can see, if you run 4 pieces, you already get the hollow point ammo at 20%. So you're getting a 15% buff to that hollow point ammo. And then the backpack is giving you the talent that's, it's giving you longer bleed and making that bleed damage increase by 100%. Which actually means that you can see that bleed actually takes somebody down. Where it's hard to kill somebody with bleed without that. But I understand the confusion. Some of these things are kind of hard to read. The way that they spell things out can be confusing. Crit damage. I like your name, man. That's funny. Crit damage. What platform are you on? Let us know. We do have Tux Clan members in the chat feed, so depending on the platform, we can get you situated. Also, guys, if you're looking to hook up with the Tux Clans or just to hang out with other like-minded banditos, then you should be spending some time on my Discord. It's a very active place. It's a great melting pot for all platforms, and for all people who really love the Division 2 and don't want to see it go away. We keep it alive up in there. So, but either way, whether you just want to talk shop, we got channels dedicated to builds. We got group up channels for each platform. We got clan channels. And also, if you're in the Texas Players Club and you know who you are because you got that cool little skull next to your name, then we also have members only channels too, which also includes the Pimp My Build section. So if you're interested in exploring me pimping your build, head over to Discord. What's up, Black John Wick? Good to see you, man. Happy Friday. B-Boy Loretto. What's up, man? So, yeah, so the Scorpio changes in the PvP, which is just so weird. I mean, this game is so complicated that way, right? Like, you know, let me see here. Let me click it. Ensnare. Yeah, that's right. So the 7th round, so it's disrupt and ensnare. Like, why? Why not shock? Why would they change it out of shock? You know what I mean? So 2 rounds bleed, which is actually, it's worse in PvP, don't you think, guys? I mean, the Scorpio, I mean, I want the PvP version for for PvE. So here's the Scorpio PvP stats, right? Like, I mean, instead of poison, and it still has disrupt, but oh no, it's disrupt instead of disorient. I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's the PvP version is better. I wish I had that for PvE because you bleed them, you disrupt them, and you ensnare them. You know, that's pretty cool. I mean, I feel like it's more useful. But it's just weird. Like I'm just trying to think, like, why would they give us a snare on the 7th round? I mean, you're right. Foaming out of the shotgun. It's not just. It's kind of wacky, kind of cuckoo. It's, you know, I'm reading your question. Simon Taylor says, I think I heard that you only get hollow ammo from skill status. Is that true? The way I would describe it, to be honest with you, is like, I've been talking about this a lot in a lot of my live streams, is that, you guys have heard me say this several times, is that that I felt like the, what is it called? The ongoing directive set is glitchy. And that's why I don't have a straight answer for you, because sometimes I get it off of my Scorpio. What I found out is that no matter what, you gotta kill, sometimes, it's not all the time, but you gotta get the kill with your gun. See, I just got the ammo right there. So like, you gotta get the kill with your gun. Sometimes if your skill gets the kill, then you don't get it. If Vile Mask gets the kill, you don't get it. If my flamethrower gets a kill, watch, I'm gonna flamethrower him. If my flamethrower gets the kill, I don't get the ammo. And so you have to have your primary weapon in hand most of the, I mean, all the time your primary weapon has to be in hand. And so that's where the game kind of gets confused, because if the enemy dies, well, let's say you whip out your sticky bomb and you hit the enemy with the sticky bomb and he dies from the sticky bomb, before you actually get the gun back into your hand, then you don't get the ammo. Because what it's trying to do is apply the hollow point ammo to the sticky bomb, and it can't do that. So you basically lose the ammo, so it cancels the ammo instead of applying it to your holstered weapon. So it can, and that's the deal. So think about it that way, like, ongoing directive cannot apply special ammo to a holstered weapon. So if you have anything else in your hand, then it's gonna cancel your special ammo. So for example, like, wouldn't it be nice if you had, so let's say you got your full on special ammo on your primary weapon, and then this enemy dies, and because you're full on your primary weapon, wouldn't it be nice if it transferred that special ammo to your secondary weapon? But it doesn't do that. If you want ammo, hollow points on your secondary weapon, you got to actually switch guns, equip your secondary weapon, apply a status effect, kill that enemy with the status effect, and then you'll get that ammo on your secondary weapon, and then you can go back to your primary weapon. And so that's what the mechanics won't do, is it won't apply special ammo to a holstered weapon. So if you have a flamethrower or a sticky bomb or a riot foam canister in hand, then there's a good chance, and I'm not even sure it's a guarantee, but it's a good chance you're gonna lose out on your ammo. Now, I noticed with the flamethrower, I never got the ammo. So when I had the flamethrower in my hand, then I definitely would lose out on the ammo. But I would be okay with that, just because I'm constantly getting the ammo anyways. So, but anyways, to answer your question, otherwise, like, sometimes the enemy would just die, and then and there wasn't a reason why I wasn't getting the ammo. I wouldn't get the ammo, and then I wouldn't get the ammo. You know, so in other words, I was expecting to get the ammo, and then I wouldn't. And I was like, oh, that's annoying. I don't know why I didn't get the ammo, you know? And so I think that sometimes the game could get confused. Like, so let's just say you apply bleed to the enemy, and so it's supposed to, the bleed came from your gun. So you get hollow point ammo, okay? And then you shoot the enemy with the hollow point ammo, and then he bleeds from that hollow point ammo to death. Then sometimes the gear set doesn't allocate that death to your weapon. It looks at it as an unaffiliated status effect. And so you don't get the special ammo for those situations. And so even though you're shooting at the enemy, at the microsecond in which he dies, you don't really know whether it was your bullet or the status effect, right? Because it's in milliseconds. And so the game determines that, and then, most of the time you get your ammo, but there are circumstances when you don't, which is why if you've ever used Ridgeway's Pride with ongoing directive, there's so many times you don't get your ammo. It's frustrating. I've used Ridgeway's Pride and I just didn't like it because I'm expecting to get my ammo and there's just so many times I wouldn't get it. And so that's why I call this gear set kind of glitchy. But I'm not worried about it with this build, and I'm actually enjoying it with this build because we actually are using skills that are applying status effects. And so I would say 9 out of 10 times the gear set is not getting confused. It realizes there is a solid status effect on this enemy, and I'm gonna give him the ammo with the death because I'm shooting all the time too, so that's also helping. So the only time I for sure know I'm not gonna get the ammo is when I pull out my torch. But yeah, so keep an eye on it. You guys need to keep an eye on all your builds and little nuances like that. You know what I mean? You need to know if they're working or not. Because I'm always surprised when people don't notice that. It's like, you haven't noticed that ongoing directive doesn't give you your special ammo all the time? Why are you running ongoing directive if you're not getting the ammo? And so you should be noticing when you're not getting the ammo. You should be fucking disappointed. Yeah, I'm disappointed. I was like, it's the only reason why I'm running this shitty gear set. Because I do think it's a shit gear set, to be honest with you. And I know people like it. But I don't like the talents. It gives, the attributes. It gives me status effects, which I'm okay with that. But this build, it makes sense. But with many of my other builds, like if I wanted to run a hollow point amp damage, if I want to go all in on amp damage, this would be a great build to turn to, right? Think about it. This one gives you 35% amplified damage. Hunter's Fury gives you 20% amplified damage plus 5% amplified damage per kill on top of that. This one doesn't, once you get your ammo, you're just at 35% if you run a chest piece, right? So it's a good alternative to Hunter's Fury, really. It's just that Hunter's Fury gives you what else, guys? 20% armor on kill, and it disorients targets within range, a status effect on targets, right? So they can't shoot back at you because they all get disrupted. It's a way better gear set. Hunter's Fury all day. Now, the only difference is Hunter's Fury's got a distance limiter and this one doesn't. So I get the benefit where this one wins on distance, right? But then if I'm going back to distance, well, nah, I'd rather go striker, right? And get my higher RPMs and get the crazy amount, 50% amplified damage. What would you rather have, 35% amplified damage or 50%? Plus RPMs. Plus weapon handling, landing more shots, right? This one gives you reload speed, which is kind of helpful. And then it also, that's subjective to the weapon you're using, right? But it's not helpful for my shotgun. I don't need 30% reload speed on my shotgun. Not the Scorpio, I mean. It's already got a short reload speed. So I'd rather have something else there. The status effects I happen to be using for this build. So this is one of the rare occasions it's actually coming in handy, but I think it's a shit gear set. And it's glitchy. So, and I know some people like this build, this gear set, but I just find the other one so much more useful. Striker is so much more useful than this one. I'll take 50% amp damage over 35% sometimes any day. Because you remember, hollow point is sometimes, not all the time, right? It's sometimes. And plus you gotta apply status effect to get it. So that means you're gonna have to run, it's relying on whatever skill you're running. So it's conditional. So if you're gonna run a turret and a drone, then you're not gonna get your status effects. You're gonna have to find a way to apply that status effect, which is gonna be probably Ridgeway's Pride or the Imperial Dynasty or something like that. You know what I mean? So it's just like, I don't know. But if you're creative, you can make this gear set useful. And but this is one of the few times that I'm actually using it and liking it. And it's not because I haven't tried. Like, I try all the time to whip out this gear set and get it to work. And I just sort of always disappointed. So take advantage of this build because you're not going to see too many ongoing directive builds for me just because I can't put my Tux guarantee stamp on those builds. You know what I mean? Like, it's just that you're going to use it and love it, But this one you will, and that's why I am giving it to you today. So thank you for letting me get on my soapbox and preach about my disappointment on this build set. Thicky Games, no, they didn't change the Scorpio. I mean, they did at one point when they released it, but the stats I was showing you were just the PvP stats. It's different for PvE than it is for PvP. But I think Dr. Haynes already answered that, so sorry for getting to you late. I was really busy on my soapbox talking about this gear set. Great with the Bullet King in the chatterbox. Good call, Simon. I like that. I like that. Except, kind of. Now that I think, let me take that back. I hear you there. But you're not taking advantage of all the stats with those, because both of those have auto reloads, no reloads, right? The Bullet King has no reloads, and the Chatterbox is basically the Bullet Queen, right? It has 0 reloads. So that's sort of one of the main stats that this thing gives you. It gives you status effect plus 30% reload speed, so you're kind of trashing that. I mean, which, you know, that happens in a lot of builds. I get that. So, you know, you don't have to use every attribute, but I kind of get irritated when I'm throwing away a main attribute. It took 3 pieces to get there. You know what I mean? You might as well just use Striker and get 50%. What do you guys think about that? I mean, am I off my rocker? Somebody tell me I'm off my rocker. You know what I mean? Does that logic make sense to anybody? Like, just the comparison between ongoing directive and Striker? Does that make sense to anybody? You know, on like the DPS level, if you're after the amplified damage, what is better? You know, if you're after amplified damage, what is better? Am I making an assumption? Is that an incorrect assumption? If you guys are using the ongoing directive, why do you use? What are you really after when you use ongoing directive? Is it the status effect? Is it actually the bleed? Is that what you're really after, or is it the amp damage? You know. Now with this build, it's actually the bleed, and that's why it's working, and that's why I'm not complaining about it, and that's why I'm liking it, because it applies bleed, and that's why I'm using it, right? And it gives status effects, and that's why I'm using it. And I don't need the reload speed, but I see the real appeal probably to most people being the amplified damage, because those bullets are just a ton of damage, right? A ton of damage, you know? But the sad thing is that like when you run this with the pestilence, I think I'm correct here. Correct me if I'm wrong, somebody please, but like the amplified damage from the rounds doesn't help the Plague of the Outcast, right? It doesn't help the ticks. It only helps the impact of the bullets and adds bleed. So it stacks the bleed, it makes it multiplicative. It makes the Plague of the Outcast multiplicative because it stacks the bleed on top of the Plague of the Outcast. So, but they are 2 separate damages. So, I hope that wasn't too abstract the way I said that, but. What up, Antmo? What's up, man? Glad you found me. He says, hey, Tux, first time in the stream. Found you a few weeks ago, and I have watched most of your vids. So many cool ideas that have inspired some of my builds. Cool, man. Good. Mission accomplished. That's what I aim to do, man. I aim to inform, entertain, and inspire in everything that I do. So I hope that's coming across. I'm having fun doing it. You know, I just want this channel, this brand, to be basically a safe haven for people who really love this game. That's who I hope to attract at the end of the day. You know what I mean? There's people that come and there's people that go, and you know what I mean? But there's people that enjoy portions of this game. There's people that enjoy all of this game, every ounce of this game. But there's something that really makes this game unique, and I think it's the technicals, you know, and the AI, and then the atmosphere. And I think that when you, I guess, realize how much you can do with each of those items or all of those items together, then you might understand, like I do, that this game it really doesn't end. It's got infinite possibilities. I mean, I'm an extremist, like, compared to probably most of you guys. I know some of you guys are like me, which is why you follow me, and are patrons to my channel. But it's that I'm an extreme builder, guys. Literally, I am dropping builds every single day. Have you guys caught on to that? And so you might notice is like, very rarely do I put up a duplicate build, you know? I mean, I'll have iterations of a build, be like, hey, there was a version 1, this is version 2. So, you know, there's that, you know, but sometimes the builds are just good enough. If they're good enough, then you're gonna wanna iterate a build, right? You're gonna wanna make changes. But either way, but for the most part, I've never created a build like this before, like with ongoing directive like this, right? I haven't even busted out ongoing directive in like, I don't think I've ever created an ongoing directive build video, as a matter of fact. This is the first time I've done a build video for ongoing directive. We should be celebrating. Somebody break out the fucking champagne. MVD from the Philippines. Ian McDonald's. I'm late. What's the build? Yeah, let's show him. I'll flash the build for here for you for a second, and then I'll walk through it again for everybody, so you can take a look. But yeah, so you know what I mean. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that there's literally thousands of builds that have yet to be explored, you know? And so if you expand your mind, you know what I mean? But if you're stuck on like, it's the only DPS build is the M1A with the contractor's gloves and the fox's prayers. If that's you, if that's the only build that exists for you, then yes, this game ended for you a long time ago. This game ended for you when the devs dropped the very last season. You know, whatever season that was. Was it season 5? I can't even remember, right? Season 5, it was a long time ago. Then yeah, you're probably bored out of your mind. You probably left the game. You're probably one of those people that say the game's dead. You know what I mean? So, you know, but the reality is that if you are a creative person or you have vision and you see the possibilities and you're willing to try new things, then this game is absolutely amazing. You can do legendary in 4-man groups. You can do legendary in 2-man groups. You can do legendary solo. You can do raids. You know what I mean? Like, you can do heroic challenges. You can do the summit with all directives. You can play pistol builds. You can play shotgun builds. You can play SMG builds. You can snipe. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah. Anyways, let me run through this build real quick for those that have joined. And so a little bit late, and by the way, if you're just now joining in, make sure you hit the like on this video and subscribe. That's the easiest way to support me. And then let me walk you through the build. So you want to use this. Okay, so the point of this build, because you might think about using different gear in different places, but this one's set up like this because it's serving a very specific purpose. The objective, listen, you got to understand the objective to understand the build. So the objective of this build is to apply every single status effect that the game offers at the same time or all the time, okay? And so you need to always be applying a status effect. That's the point of the build, okay? And so the point is not to run glass cannon. The point is not to run, you know, this or that. It's all about making sure you have every status effect covered. Now, once you do that, then you can start adding other things in. All right, so that's the first basis of the build. That's the basis of the build. The only weapon in the game that applies a status effect is this one. Now, I got my PvP stats, so let me toggle this back. Okay, so this is the only shotgun. This is the only weapon in the game that applies a status effect, and so it's basically disorient or shock, right, on 3rd and 6th. So once you get those rounds out, then you're also on the 7th round, you're making it so that the target takes an additional 20% damage from all sources. So that includes your other status effects, your skills, and the biomask or whatever. So I did mention that you could also run the Plague of the Outcast or the Pestilence for Plague of the Outcast, but just realize that's not a status effect. That's a different thing. That's a debuff. Okay, so technically that doesn't work. It's not a status effect. Plus it's slow. You need something that's fast, and that's why you need the shotgun. Okay, so this is also centered on 4 pieces of ongoing directive. And the real reason why we're running an ongoing directive is, well, 2 reasons. One is it's giving us some more status effects. The other one is it's giving us bleed. So we're running ongoing directive for the status effects attribute and the bleed. And what we're lucky enough to get in addition to that is we're getting a hollow point ammo that's giving us 20% amp damage. So that's a bonus. We got 20% amplified damage to our shotgun. Cool? And then because we're running the backpack, you got to run the backpack, and that's going to increase the duration of the bleed by 50% and all the damage by bleed by 100%. So that's really cool. So you're going to see your bleed actually taking fools out. That's nice to have. Now the gloves, and so this is a weapon build, okay? So you need red cores. You need red cores. It's not a skill build. It uses skills, but they're just part of a rotation. It's not centered on them. Okay, so we got weapon damage, status effects, and skill haste. And then weapon damage and status effects. Weapon damage and status effects on the knees, so it's all gonna look the same. And weapon damage and status effects for the holster. Okay, so you need to run, you can't run the ongoing directive chest piece, even though it's attractive. So the chest piece increases your amplified damage to 35%, but if you do that, you're missing out on the status effect. And so, well, you got this build, the correct way to run this build is to run trauma because it applies a blind. And so that adds one more status effect to the collection. And remember, the objective is to apply all status effects. So if you run the chest piece, then it's fine. You can run the chest piece, the ongoing directive chest piece. But if you do, then you're gonna have to find a way to run blind, which is gonna have to come from the blinder firefly here. And then you're gonna lose your sticky, which is okay. You can go that route. But this is the route I went. Anyways, so you wanna run it golden gear because the status effects is gonna help all of your skills, but also it's gonna buff the biomask. So you're just getting more bang for your buck here. But Hannah Yu and China Light are your alternatives. And then I got status effect and skill haste. Now I don't want the armor, I just happen to have the armor. So I recommend actually a weapon damage core here. And if you can't get weapon damage core, then my second option would be a skill tier. And then my third option would be armor. And I happen to just have an armor piece. Now the mask is vile. We're putting out status effects all the time. Okay, so you might as well be taking applying more damage because of those status effects. So that's why you want to go with the vial. It's based off the concussion grenade, 50% of it, which is at 1.4 million. And then every status effect roll we have is making the biomask stronger. And we got lots of status effects on this build. And so this build is a nightmare for the enemy because they're just under complete status effects. Now we're using the riot foam. So again, we just added another status effect, which is completing it basically. So we got 3 canisters with an ensnare duration of 13 seconds, which is actually pretty long. And so that's just enough. You don't need more ammo than that because we're not relying on any one skill. They're just part of the circulation of the build. The other skill is I'm using the burn sticky just because it's more useful. And so obviously this is gonna hit an explosion on impact and then catch them on fire. Now, if you truly wanted to use every single status effect the game has to offer, then you want to go with the EMP sticky or an EMP pulse, okay? But the EMP is just not that helpful for me, so I bypassed the EMP and went to the burn, but just keep that in mind. So, and then you want to run firewall. That's actually an important detail because you're running the torch here, the flamethrower, and that is the strongest fire in the game. It's an absolute beast, and I'm actually using it. You'll see that in the gameplay. I'm using it all the time, and it's just killing fools really fast. It needs to come into your rotation. All right, so it also, when your armor breaks, you're gonna catch somebody on fire too, so that's another way you're applying the status effect. But also, firewall makes your fire duration increases your fire duration, I think by 20% off the top of my head. So, yeah. So that's basically the build. Again, all status effects in the game, all the time. Now, I just opted to not use the EMP and put the fire here instead, so we have double fire, but it's just better than the EMP in the end. So that is the build. A lot of fun. I'm having a ton of fun. So the vial mask, the bleed, those things are actually gonna bypass the shield. All right, the Hollywood shield that's for the Hollywood event that's going on right now. And then when you use your torch, your flamethrower, that's gonna break the Hollywood shield. And when you use the sticky bomb, that's gonna break the Hollywood shield. So, and when you, and the shock round off of the Scorpio is gonna break the Hollywood shield. So you have all day long, you're breaking the Hollywood shield as you rotate through your weapons, like you see in the gameplay. So that's the build. So MBD, I'm looking at your question. It says, which do you prefer, this build or the one you used to burn the bank? They're just so different. I mean, so probably the one I used to burn the bank, just because it's more everyday. You know what I mean? More everyday useful. Where this one's great and this one's fun and it's kind of more DPS style, but you know, the other one's the other build he's talking about, everybody, MBD, in case you don't know. So the build that I used for MBD was a Vile Eclipse Protocol build, and you know, there's no doubt that Eclipse Protocol is just a really cool set, and it's really helpful for controlling the crowd. Now this has crowd control elements, but because it doesn't have indirect transmission, then Eclipse Protocol just wins that way. This is more of a DPS status effect hybrid. You know what I mean? So you can use it to somewhat control the crowd, but it's just not going to be as far and as widespread as the Eclipse Protocol. So that's by far is probably just the more useful build, but they're both really fun. But that one's just gonna, I guess, be more practical for different situations. I know, Wick the Sweep. I changed the mask of my character for this one. I felt like he needed a gas mask. You guys know what he's talking about, like. So my character, so normally my guy's wearing the same mask that I'm wearing on my face, but I changed it up. I felt like he just needed to wear this creepy looking gas mask since we were doing all these status effects. So changed it up a little bit. Keep it interesting. Yeah, Anthony. So yeah, Anthony just stopped by to say hi. So Anthony was the one that challenged me to create this build yesterday or the day before. And yeah, so it worked out. Thanks, Anthony. Appreciate the inspiration. It ended up being a lot of fun, actually. Just one more way to play this event. What's the Axion 83? So Tux might have something to add, but I've built all yellow strikers, but had to do it with the lucky drops. With lucky drops. Meaning, like, you don't have god rolls yet? Is that what you're saying? On that? Have you seen the perfect blend? I've actually done 2 striker hybrid builds. I'm not sure if you're saying that you got a different version than the one I have, or you're just not aware that I did them. But if you have self-discovered that build, then good for you, because that build is badass. There's no doubt. Actually, it's many people's favorite hybrid, and it's really surprising, I think. And the funny thing is, I actually created it before TU14, so I created it in TU13, I believe it was, and so that's before they actually buffed the striker set. And so I ran a 4-piece strikers with 6 skill tier, the capacitor and the memento, I believe it was, and I actually run it with the gunner specialization, so I can get that 10% armor on kill, but also so you don't run out of ammo, because that's a real issue with strikers. And so, yeah, so I was saying back in TU13, I was like, it's a shame that people don't run 4 pieces striker, because it's absolutely amazing. I was like, I don't know why people don't like it. I was like, I think people don't like it because I think they just wish it was more like the old striker from Division 1. But I was like, 4-piece striker just makes sense to me. And then the devs came and buffed it in TU14 anyway, so it just got even better. And so I made an updated version of the build for TU14, and what I did is add the chest piece into the mix. But Yeah, that's a really good build. So in case you guys don't know, on my homepage, my YouTube homepage, I have a playlist dedicated to hybrid builds. So hybrid builds that are part DPS, part skill build is what I mean by hybrid. So this is more than one way to hybridize a build, of course. Sean Christian, what's up, man? Good to have you on board. Darth G, yeah, what's up, man? Glad he caught another one, too. Oh, actually, I need 3. Okay, you know what I'm talking about, then. Yeah, so I've created 2 versions, actually, and I think... I'm going off of memory here, because it's been a while since I've actually whipped it out, but I think one of them ran skill damage, and then one of them ran crits. Or maybe they were all skill damage. I don't remember now. Oh, I see Simon Taylor. Simon Taylor saying people miss Predator's mark. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. I mean, you do feel powerful. I mean, you do. You know, when you get that amplified damage. I mean, you do feel powerful. There's no doubt about it. I mean, I could, even in this build that I'm running right now, I can tell when I don't have that ammo. You know, it just takes so many extra shots to bring the enemies down, you know. But I'm mostly doing it just to apply the bleed. I mean, I just kind of, you'll see me doing that. I'll just apply the bleed and I'll sit there and I'll just watch them tick to death. So I'm throwing out the grenades, by the way. If you notice I'm doing that, that's because they, that's part of the challenges for Hollywood event, is to use your grenades. I appreciate that, Darth G. Yeah, I recommend give it a try, man. It's a lot of fun. If you're just looking to get some legs out of this Hollywood event. Like I am. Anybody got any good number of red stars? Have you guys farmed enough red stars to make an impact on what you can buy? I haven't gotten enough, so I gotta be farming this weekend. So as you can see here, I got, so as you can see at the bottom there, it says how many red stars I have. So I have 41 red stars. I mean, I haven't been trying too hard because I've mostly been creating builds and just kind of testing builds. So most of that's come just from testing builds. And then, you know, I've got the core of all of these challenges taken care of. So the core of them are done. And I haven't been really focused on any one thing. They've just kind of been just checking them off just by, again, testing these builds. And so what I'm doing is just making sure that the builds have the components built into them to check them off. But notice on day 2 it says, or on day 1 it says, this is an interesting thing right here. So look at the very, like almost at the bottom, it says melee attack shielded hostiles. You see that? It says melee attack shielded hostiles, right? So if you go into day 2, it says eliminate hostiles using a melee attack. So, and you gotta do that 20 times. So you can take care of both of those at the same time by just running the sweet dreams and going around sweet dreaming people. You can both melee attack and then melee kill. So eliminate and attack, right? So you can take care of both of those at the same time. So look for opportunities like that. Some people recommended, I think it was Colin that recommended using, I think it said one of the museums, and you know, just playing it on, you know, challenging mode or hard mode, and just using the entrance to just get all of your checkboxes completed. I mean, these guys are really tanky, by the way, and then you add on that shield, that Hollywood shield, and they're just like super tanky. So I hit him with the pulse there. So I have the pulse equipped here, in case you didn't notice that. He just took me out. But yeah, so here I'm using the EMP pulse, and that's why I don't like the EMP pulse, because if you use the fire pulse, I'm sorry, not the pulse, I'm at the sticky, the EMP sticky. But if he uses a fire sticky, then he's on fire and he's not able to shoot back at you because he's too busy trying to put himself out. Oh, good job, Axiom. Yeah, you're collecting those bad boys. Yeah, I try to get at least 20 from the event itself, from farming the event. I completed my my rewards track though today or yesterday. That was pretty easy. Felt like I wasn't even. I mean, I wasn't even trying. I wasn't trying. It just boom. Just doing the events really helps, though. Just doing the events, you just get a lot of XP from these events. So I'll be showing a little bit of gameplay here in a couple of minutes without the event turned on. So I'll turn off the event and show a little bit of gameplay. So if you guys didn't know, I actually released a build video for this morning. So check that out if you haven't. Give it a like. Help support the channel. That'd be nice. I need to do those challenges too, Axion. I gotta take care of all my bounties for the manhunt. I gotta figure out a way. So, you know, like I say, like I usually skip the Hollywood event because I find it a pain in the ass, and you know, now I'm finding ways to kind of make it interesting. But same thing with bounties. You know, I always like, oh, I drag my feet on the bounties. I don't like, you know why I don't like the bounties is because they always take you to the worst places on the map. You know what I mean? They take you in these buildings that you always get lost in. You know, and or they take you to some weird, you know, part of the map that you have to run to and the pain has to get to. It's just, you know, annoying. So I'm also using the special weapon because that's part of the event too. When you use a special weapon, you get credit for it. Look at all those status effects. Let's just get her. Let's get her. And then I'm trying to stack up those status effects. It is, I gotta say, it is hard to get every status effect, I mean, on the enemy because they die before, you know, they die most of the time before you can apply the last one or two. You know what I mean? So they got to be kind of, with the tankier ones you can, you know what I mean, like the tankier bosses. The bosses are usually the ones, and so you can get them on just an elite, but it's just you'll find that they don't last very long, you know, which is probably okay for you. It doesn't matter. Yeah, like New York City, Axion. Exactly, that's a place I don't want to go. Oh, Mike G, that's a hard one to get. Mike G saying I need the Emperor's Guard with max armor regen. You know, check this out, Mike G, man. I've gotten probably like, I don't know, man, like a dozen, maybe 15, maybe a dozen Emperor's Guard knee pads or more. And I just got that version of the Emperor's Guard. It is a pretty elusive, that one. And I have all of them. I have them with weapon handling, I have them with crit chance, I have them with crit damage, I have them with repair skills, I have them with skill damage. You know, so I have the full, I have them with hazard protection. Like, but the armor regen came very last. It was the last one I was looking for, as a matter of fact. So this is what our boy is talking about here. So Mike G is saying this is what he needs. So look at all these, and these aren't all of them. I have some of my other character, but look. So I have the Hasbro one, the crit damage one, the crit chance one, and there's the one he's looking for. So he wants this armor regen one. I just got this, I think, in the last reanimated event, I think, is when I got this. So it was pretty recent. You know, you guys remember the last reanimated event? It was, I think, in December, right? January, something like that. So I got this not that long ago. So, but that one is really handy. Really handy. And then the repair skills one. And then on my character, I have more. The skill damage one. This is the one that I use the most, though, actually. So the skill damage one is really helpful. It's great for hybrid skill builds. And so, because when you pair this up, you know what it complements? It complements the Memento backpack. Because the Memento backpack gives you 3% armor regen, right? And then 30% skill efficiency, which includes skill duration. And then the Murakami knee pads with armor regen or skill damage, both of them complement that, but this gives you another 1% armor regen, so it bumps you to 4% armor regen, and then it makes it buffs that skill efficiency basically by giving you skill duration and skill damage and the skill tier. So I feel like it goes really well with the Memento backpack. Glad you mentioned it. Yeah, that's the type of gear you guys need and that you're looking for. The one piece that I'm looking for, is I'm looking for the death grips with crit damage already on it. And so that way I can run a red weapon damage core on my death grips. So make it a 10% armor on kill, red weapon damage core, and then crit damage. So that would be great to run with like the Chameleon. You know, so for like max crit builds. And then you need to balance out all that power with some survivability. So that's what I would be looking for. And so I have a skill damage one, and then I have the armor one, of course. And so I just need one that's red. Yeah, it is a diamond in the rough. I don't know why that one's so hard to get. You think it would be just as easy, but well, Khalil, when you play the events more, you'll probably be getting a lot more DZ gear. I've gotten all of my Emperor's Guard knee pads, all my DZ gear, I basically have gotten from events. And so that's why I really like seasons. I really like seasons because I believe that, and I show you guys too, but I believe you get the best gear in the game from named item caches. Best gear in the game. Now sometimes you have dry runs and you get 20 caches and you don't get crap out of them. But all of my weapons, greatest weapons, greatest gear of all come from named item caches. Like, and I've bought stuff from DZ vendors too, and whatever, but they were always mediocre. And so they always got replaced by cache versions. So like I bought the Virginian, like I've had like 3 or 4 Virginians, maybe even more, like 5 Virginian rifles in my day. But my triple God rolled Virginian rifle came from a named item cache. And I've bought death grips from the DZ vendor, but my best versions of the death grips came from named item caches and so on and so forth. It's always kind of been like that for me. And so that's all thanks to the events. And so when the events come on, I farm them. But the one you definitely want to farm, I mean, I'll tell you, is, or there's 2. Obviously, Golden Bullet. A lot of people like Golden Bullet because it basically takes any build and makes it feel pretty good. Any build, right? Any build. I mean, the Pestilence feels like a king with that one. And so, the other one is Reanimated. Reanimated, I think, is the best event in the game. And the reason why is you have the potential to get the most XP from Reanimated. And so the more XP you get means that every time you level up your watch, right, you get a red star. So the more XP you get, that means the more leveling up you do, which means the more red stars you'll get, which means the more named item caches you can purchase. So the reason why Reanimated gives you the potential to get the most XP is because it rewards you for headshot builds. You don't have to run a headshot build, but you get rewarded for headshot builds, right? And so headshots give you more XP when you kill with the headshot. You get a bonus XP for that, added XP. And also, one shot, one kill builds clear content really fast, right? You're like clearing content like control points in like 3 to 5 minutes if you're proficient on heroic. And so that's like if you use like the Mantis or the White Death, right? The Sucker Punch build or a Regulus pistol build. I mean, a Nemesis build, whatever your choice is. You clear content really fast with these one shot, one kill builds. And that's what most people run for reanimated. And so you're clearing content faster and you're getting all these headshot kills and you're getting rewarded for all those headshot kills. I mean, I think I marked like close to 50, going off my memory, like 50 consecutive headshot kills without missing one. So the reanimated event buffs your weapon handling and your damage. So it helps you go on winning streaks like that for sure. Appreciate that, Wick the Swede. Hit the like, peeps. Get those likes up. 50 viewers, we need 50 likes. So cool, guys. So I'll probably be streaming later tonight. I will be streaming on Twitch. So if you haven't followed me over on Twitch, then please do that if you have a Twitch account. If you don't have a Twitch account, then you need to create one. So that way you can get even more out of your Division 2 game. Because I will be streaming different content over... I do stream different content over on Twitch than I do on YouTube. So you can get even more content your way. And so our Twitch experience is like a startup experience over there. So I'm trying to get my Twitch side just as big as my YouTube side. And so we're kind of on the startup experience over there. So there's smaller streams. I think we're averaging between like 25 and 50 people per stream over there. So I'm looking to get that up into the hundreds. Melvin, what's up, Melvin? You like the golden event, the golden bullet, Doctor? Yeah, that's a good one, man. It really is. It's a lot of fun. Oh, Eclipse, you're nasty, man. Eclipse stole a pair last night. Took them off of someone's hands. Are you talking about the knee pads or the gloves? I wish you could donate them to the cause. Eclipse is nasty. Eclipse be robbing people. All good, brother. Hey, Darth G, are you on my Discord? Join Discord and invite me as a do a friend request on Discord. Yeah, no, Simon Taylor, that's basically what I rely on for Reanimated is Headhunter. Yeah, I mean, I don't go, for my one-shot kill builds, I mean, I actually think Headhunter is like, gosh, guys, it's like probably like, is it the best chess talent in the game? I mean, if you think about it, you know what I mean? I mean, it's just so powerful. I mean, it's what the speedrunners are using for Legendary, right? It's with the best sniper. I mean, they're using that for their sniper builds and for their Hunter's Fury, right? The shotgun builds. Speedrunning legendary using Hunter's Fury sniper shotgun builds. And then they're using it to one-tap bosses at the end too with the Nemesis and an Aces build, right? So it's just like it's really handy, that Headhunter, right? I think you can use it in the raids too. You know, when you're trying to coordinate those one-shot, one-kill boss things. But Frederick McBean, B Tesla, what's going on, man? Yeah, exactly, Axion. That's the build. So I don't know if you guys caught that build. I featured it about 3 weeks ago. I think it's been about 3 weeks now. It's called the Blitz build. I call it the Blitz build because it's basically what you do with it. The way the Headhunter, how do you say? Hunter's Fury build. This has got the head thing going. The Hunter's Fury build is basically, the way it works is you gotta blitz. Like, if you don't blitz, then you're fucked. So, that's what I mean. It's like you gotta get into the enemy's face as fast as possible, because otherwise they're just gonna pin you down from a distance. So the idea is to get to the spawn door as fast as possible, basically. And then you get all of that amplified damage from Hunter's Fury. And then shotguns are also more forgiving for headshot kills, the M870, because it's got more of a bloom, unlike a sniper, right? Which has got a direct hit. Got to make a direct hit with that bullet, a precise hit more. But yeah, the Blitz build, and so that's the one I use. I use the Blitz build for some of the Termite League events too. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, it's actually one of my favorite builds too. I called it the best build in the game. Because of what it can do. You know what I mean? It's just like, I mean, if you can speedrun Legendary with it. Now, you can't really do it solo. Like, I've never seen any speedrunner, like, you know, there's guys that that's all they do is speedrun Legendary, right? Like, I've never seen anybody speedrun Legendary just using that build. They always incorporate another build. So it's situational. Okay, so it is. So like, if you're in a group scenario, then you could probably use it all the way through. But if you're running a Legendary solo speedrun, or even just yet Legendary solo, then you'll see them use it in certain sections, but they always will use a negotiator's build in many of the parts. So I think that makes like Negotiators is probably the most useful gear set. It actually makes Legendary really easy. You can just stay in one place and kill everybody. So there's that. Yeah, I have the gift backpack and I have a really good one. Axon, I just don't have one with like headshot damage and weapon handling. Mine's got all crits on it, you know? So it's like crit damage, crit chance. And so I want one. Yeah, you just reminded me. I need a gift backpack with headshot damage and weapon handling. That's probably the other thing I need out of the Dark Zone. There's very little I need out of the Dark Zone. Anybody use the pinprick lately, by the way? I'm having a hard time. So when so before, like the Mantis came out, so like one of the first build loadouts that I used in this game, like when I first got it, was a sniper loadout, and I don't even remember what sniper I was using, back in the day, but it was before the Mantis. And I remember First Blood was the talent that I would go with back then. But now, you know, with the Mantis and Headhunter, with that combo, or with any sniper, with Headhunter, because of Headhunter, you know, why, you know, First Blood just becomes sort of useless. You know, like First Blood and Headhunter don't make sense together, right? Because in order for Headhunter to proc, you got to get a headshot kill. And First Blood is saying, we'll give you a headshot credit if you shoot him in the toe, right? Whatever. So it's kind of like, okay, so, well, I don't want to shoot him in the toe if I got Headhunter. I'm going to be going for the head anyways. So. Let me show you guys the center on the build here real quick. So this is where the build is. So don't forget to hit the like and subscribe, guys. Also, I did drop the actual build video for this build that covers the build details in more detail. And good highlights and some good music there too. And so the link to the build video is in the description area of this live stream. So you can head over there and check that out. But I hope you guys had fun with this one. And I hope you continue to have fun and finish strong with the Hollywood event. Make sure you get all those named item caches so you can get some of that great Dark Zone gear that we've been talking about. And then otherwise, I will see you guys on Twitch later tonight. I will probably go live around, it'll be probably a late night with Tux stream. So probably around 7:30 Pacific Standard Time. So anyways, that's all I have today, yo. So thank you for kicking it with me. I will catch you on the other side. Peace.
Tuxedo out.
Flows and that's how it goes.